Everybody, please rise for the pledge.
Everybody move in that meeting. You're not getting it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
It's almost spring evening. It's coming, Gloria, it really is.
Tomorrow.
Okay, we could just introduce ourselves. Adam.
I'm Adam. I run the live stream this month, but just real quick, I have announcements later, but I'm probably not going to be here next month, so there may not be a live stream unless somebody steps up and does it, so you've been warned.
Jansen Robinson, I'm the co-chair of the Edgewood Joppa Community Advisory Board.
Jim Lyons, Job Magnolia Volunteer Fire Company, and I represent the Gloria Moon section of Harford County in District B.
What are you going to do if Sheva moves?
No, I'm not ever moving, don't worry about that. I'm Gloria Moon, there's a zoning map back there for fun and games. Have a look, see what's going on, and I'll have news out for you next week. Okay?
I'm Paul Mullis, I'm your chair.
Melissa DeRisca, Edgewood.
Bob Herzog.
What we forgot to do real quick is to have a motion to approve the minutes last month.
Yes.
I so moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so then we will go to Captain McDougal.
Hello, everybody. This community crime report is from February 2nd to March 2nd. And I'll go over the top 3 calls last year with suspicious incidents, check on subjects, and alarms. And the top 3 this year for that same period of time. Suspicious incidents, check on subjects, and animal complaints came in at number 3, not alarms. The total calls for servers from last year, this time frame, to this year, we've seen a decrease of 34%. And then crashes, we also saw a decrease of 33%. Our Part 1 crimes, our serious crimes, last year during this time frame, we had 1 homicide, 0 this year. Rapes, 1 and 1. Robbery, last year 3, only 1 this year, it's a decrease. Assaults, we had a decrease of 33%. Burglaries, we had 6 last year reported during that time frame, 0 this year, so it's a 100% decrease. Thefts, 7% decrease. Auto thefts, a 25% decrease. And non-fatal overdoses, we had 3 last year, 1 this year, and we had no fatal overdoses.
All good.
And then I always report out on the school bus violations. Last year, during that time, well, actually for the month of, this is not February 2nd to March 2nd, this is just the month of February. Last year, we had 753 throughout the county. And then this year, we had 554 throughout the county. It's a decrease, it's still way too many, but we're trending in the right direction. It's been pretty consistent since the program took off. We've been seeing a decrease pretty much every month as we move through. And that, as I say every meeting, that there's an analysis done on those violations, and we identify the hot spots, which buses, which routes, what time of day. And this came out today, actually, and it's forwarded to our guys and girls out there to do enforcement on site versus the cameras. So that's ongoing and continuing.
Didn't you say last time that Gibson Road was a hot spot for the school bus violations?
The hot spot for this area would be Hanson and 152 where they intersect, that kind of 3-way intersection there. That's the hot spot for the Edgewood Joppatowne area. There are some others that are north on 152, close to the golf course, and then a little further up as well by the Stone Ridge Daycare, whatever that's called up there. Yeah. Stonewall Daycare. Yeah. A little further up north. Any other questions? No? All right. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Okay, so I am extremely pleased to introduce our guest speaker for the evening, South County Executive Bob Cassilly.
Okay, so good evening, everybody. I'm Bob Cassilly, your county executive. It's good to see such a good attendance here this evening. It's got a lot of folks. Thank you all for coming out. So I was just going to kind of give you an update and then open up to questions. Is that okay? Do it that way? So.
Anybody wanna do it, works
Why
fine
don't you
for
keep
us.
it under 20 minutes, Bob?
All right, okay. So the big thing for us right now, the county is comprehensive rezoning. That's been going on for a while now. Folks put in for their rezoning requests. We had the citizens groups review that, and my own planning department reviewed those requests. And then we sent a bill over to the county council last week with all of those requests, with our position, my staff's position on those requests. And that's now before the county council. So it's, let's see over there. That's now out of my hands. It's with the county council, and they're considering those zoning requests. And they have do what they want with it. They have carte blanche. They can up zone, down zone, leave the same. There's no, we send the bill over with the staff analysis, but I don't have a lock on that or anything. So our intent was, from my planning department, really look at quality of life in Harford County, safety, obviously road safety and the like, and then recognizing that we've got to continue to grow. Businesses have to grow and flourish. So it's balancing all those interests, and so that's what we put forward. We tried to really ensure a very transparent process so that people knew what was whose properties were up for rezoning, and give them ample opportunity to provide input. So that's where we are with that one. Our budget, the two big things that happen in county government are really your zoning requests and your budget on an annual basis. The budget right now, we're working, my staff's been working on a draft budget basically since last June. We finish a budget up, as soon as we finish it up, we start right in for the next year. And so they've been working on it. That's what's consuming most of my time these days. I have 4 or 5 folks working full-time on the budget to bring a draft budget. I usually meet with that team 3 or more times a week just to make sure we're aligned and where we're going. And I spend a lot of time these days meeting with folks who, the county funds, the schools, the police, the nonprofits, my own departments, you name it. In our finances, really the thing you have to keep in mind, and as you look at Harford County funding, is about 65% of the budget doesn't stay with what I consider the county government, right? 65% goes to the Board of Education, the police, the state's attorney, the health department, and all those kind of folks who are not under my control. I give them money. I'm the pass-through guy. You pay your taxes, it comes to us, and then we determine what a piece they'll get, how much they get, and it's up to them. So as opposed to my own departments where like your planning and zoning, your public works, your water and sewer, I can say, no, we're not doing that this year. Cut that down, that's too much. Dave, how are you? Good to see you. Cut that down, let's be more efficient. So we don't really have a whole lot of discretion. We don't have really any discretion on that piece. So that's a big piece of what we're doing. And the biggest challenges are schools. That's the number one. That's not quite 50%, but that's the biggest chunk out of the budget. And the biggest chunk of that is salaries and benefits. And then the next one down would be the sheriff, and that's for running these buildings and all the law enforcement officers all over the county and all those beautiful vehicles and radios and all the other stuff that they use. So my goals are, I have a balanced budget. It's really a challenge this year. The state, normally this time of the year, I'd be down in Annapolis saying, hey, I just want another, can you give me $500,000 or $1 million for this rec center? Can you give me a little bit extra money for this, a little bit extra money for that? I'm down in Annapolis these days, but it's not what we're doing. We're saying, leave us alone, leave us alone. Because what's happened is, since the General Assembly came in, the governor introduced his budget, we're $12 million in the hole. What they're doing is they're taking things the state usually pays, like teachers' pensions and the like, and they're saying, well, counties, you pay for that. You pay for this, you pay for that. So right now we're about $12 million in the hole, which is tough, because just to put $12 million is what we pay to operate our Parks and Rec department in a given year. That's the youth centers, that you see all over the county, the youth senior centers. That's all those ball fields. That's maintaining them, putting the grass in, mowing the grass, all these things. That's how much they've thrown back onto us. That's a huge nut for us to try to crack and keep moving forward. The other thing that's, I think, really relevant to what you all do over on this side of the county is our Southern County Task Force. I know you've all been briefed on that. When we rolled that out, what I had heard when I was over, we represent you all in the Senate, what I constantly heard was, all we get is studies. We get beautiful studies, and there's beautiful binders on people's shelves for the last 10 years, 20 years, and it's this Edgewood study, this Joppatowne study, all these studies, and they sat on the shelf, and people were tired of the talk. So we came in started formulating plans without even telling anybody, because they're like, I'm not gonna piss these guys off. We're gonna give you a lot of the background here, and then we're gonna roll this out and get your input on it, and that's what we did. And I'm very pleased. Some of the obvious stuff, you got your street sweepers are now running in the Joppatowne Edgewood on a regular schedule, but the code enforcement, we did code changes, and those are critical, because we're now able to go after those property owners who just don't give a darn about your community, quite frankly. We had the burned out houses up on the hill over in Edgewood by the senior rec center, and we didn't really have much of the power to move these things along. So the council passed the changes we asked for, and you'll notice we came in and we notified the landowner that the next day we were gonna tear those things out and put a lien on their property for the cost. They came back right away and said, we got it. We're coming in right now. We're tearing them out. We're going to rebuild it. We're like, I thought you might. So, those things move along. We've done a lot with just on the renters. That if you're, we want nice rental properties, but emphasize nice, right? If you're not going to fix it up, don't rent it. It's as simple as that. Either fix it up or sell it, or don't rent it. But you're not going to be renting. So fire traps. So we've been going after those things. We've done the park repairs. I hope you've noticed, in some new park equipment like Nuttall Avenue, and some park repairs in places like Mariner Point and Flying Point. We're out with small business loans, facade improvements. A number of folks have taken advantage of that. We've got a summer camp running this summer that we're working on. It's in collaboration with the NAACP. Be an 8-week summer camp, really targeting the kids in Edgewood. We're talking this to low income. We're talking this to kids who can't afford to go someplace else for the summer. So this will be it's heavy on the mentoring, but it'll be fun. Not just sitting lecturing kids. We'll be playing ball and doing all kind of great activities. So we're pushing that through. We're working to support your fire companies, your EMS folks, so that you get a solid base of support over in your community. Along those lines, we now have, if you recall, when I came in, the ambulance service, the volunteer ambulance service, came to me right after I didn't have the paint wasn't dry, and they said, the ambulance service is yours. We're out of business on this stuff. And I was like, wait a minute, guys, this is a little fast for me. But we got to run with it. So with their cooperation, once they said that, we worked really well together and cooperated. We now have 17 full-time ALS, advanced life-saving units up and operating 24/7 in Harford County. And I know, so we have on the Joppa House 3 on Hanson Road, we have 1 unit there. We have 1 at Joppa House 1 and over on 152 and 95. We have 2 at the Abington House and 1 in Perryman. That's just this area. So they're out around the county, and sometimes they get pulled out. So we adjust those locations. If there's a gap built, we move an ambulance in to fill in that gap. So sometimes you're not going to have you may have a little gap in there somewhere. But when the day starts, before things get crazy, that's where they all start out and running that. I know there was a lot of concern about from this community about Ridgely's Reserve and the mud from that, and I stepped in pretty aggressively. I know from your perspective it might not be that way, but my staff was like, we're not sure how we shut them down and fine them and all this. We did record fines. We pulled building permits. We really went after them. We can only do so much that the law allows us, but then, but we really went after that. So MDE continues to be involved and monitoring that. The site was stabilized with hydro seeding in the fall, and we didn't see too many significant issues through the winter for that. We did get some dirty water complaints, but the discharge they were picking up was within the acceptable turbidity limits. It'll be overseeded again in March and April to rejuvenate the growth in that area. And there's been the mass grading, the big kind grading has all been completed, and what's there is what's supposed to be settling in. I mean, look, the challenge with this whole project, which should have warranted additional steps from the get-go, is that soil just doesn't lend itself to this kind of exercise. I mean, the hills are clearly a challenge right there, but once you scrape off the little bit of topsoil there is, there's not much left, and the soil's very hard. I mean, I've walked it myself, and you know, even after they seed it, it's like you're dropping seeds on clay. Essentially, it's not really that great. So we continue to work with that. I did send a letter to the state asking that because clearly the project along I-95 is another issue here, right? They're venting into the gunpowder as well, little and big. They were doing their remediation projects for that mostly in Baltimore County. So I did send a letter to the governor's office saying, hey, how about some of these projects come over to this side of the little gunpowder so that we can get our share, because you're doing all your remediation projects in Baltimore County. So we'll see what happens there. We're going to continue to be challenged with the budget. It's tough. It's tough stuff. The state, I'm not going to debate. This is Annapolis. I'm not going to sit here. You can call your delegates and senators in and get your view on that stuff. I did that for 8 years, so I'm on this side of it now. So with that, I'd like to open it up to questions. And yes, sure.
Three-part question, if you don't mind.
Well, give them to me one at a time, because I don't remember. I'll do the first
No
one.
problem, no problem.
All right.
Going back to the thing with the gunpowder.
Right.
Has the law been changed now where they can no longer clear cut 100 acres at a time? Has anybody put the law
Yes.
back to where it
Yeah.
has been?
Yes.
Okay,
That's
so
been
we don't
changed.
have to worry about this going with another project?
Yeah, that's right. Well, I mean, you don't have too many 100-acre projects teed up, but yeah,
Okay.
they can't do that again.
Second question, where's all the cannabis money? Where's all the money that's supposed to be coming from the
Yeah.
casinos?
Right.
All right, that's supposed to be coming to the counties and stuff like that,
Right.
okay?
Yeah.
All
So-
right, and the third question is, how much of your budget is in a lockbox? In other words, how much of it, once you put that money up in there, can't be moved for frivolous stuff?
Sure. So the only true lockbox you have in Harford County is all your water and sewer. When you pay your water and sewer bill, 100% of that goes into an enterprise fund, and you get your water and sewer bill, that goes into water and sewer. That's legally, it cannot be used for anything other than water and sewer. So they can, repair the system. We're spending a lot right now. We're spending about $60 million just to upgrade Sod Run, the main treatment plant. We're another $20 million to upgrade the major pumps over there. So that's expensive stuff, but that's the only true, what I would consider a true, lockbox, that once it goes in, it does. Oh, I'm sorry, there's a few other smaller ones. Some of your transfer taxes and stuff, they are specified by law that has to go towards things like open space, or there's a few others in there. But the big ones are your water and sewer. The other stuff it's smaller stuff. And then you had one other than that. I'm sorry, what was the middle one?
The cannabis money.
Oh, the cannabis money. So the cannabis money, that's got to be. We're coming up with programs for that right now. I had to work through the state because there's a lot of restrictions on that. The one area we are targeting that for is this camp I mentioned to you, the youth camp. I think that it's important that we spend money as much as possible on the youth, keep them from getting into addiction and out of trouble. So we're gonna, a good chunk of that is going into our 8-week summer camp over in Edgewood. That'll be at the Edgewood Rec Center. It seemed like the best location just on flexibility. And so a big piece will be going into that. And then we're also looking at, there's other uses, but it's gotta be around drug-related things. I can't like go build a rec center or something with it. Okay? All right? Any other questions? Here's let me- Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you've mentioned rec center twice now.
Okay,
And, you know, we're missing one in Joppa.
yeah.
Yeah. Are we gonna
So-
get one?
So you've got it in the budget this year for design, grading, and grading the pad for the site and for the fields and stormwater remediation. So that's in the budget for this year.
Okay, do we know where it's going to be?
Well, based upon the input we got from this body, it would be at the new park in, I don't know, we're calling
Yeah,
it the
okay.
park.
We know.
Foster Branch Park.
Foster Brand, yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
So, a couple comments and then just
Sure.
maybe not so much a question, but more of an input, Bob. One is definitely have seen the progress and the change, so thank you for that. Two, thank you for holding our taxes flat. It's not easy to do, and it's not happening everywhere.
It's not
You
happening.
really made a commitment, and I
Yeah.
think sometimes you got bashed for it by certain areas, but know that the constituents appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thank you.
And when we see the great progress that we're making in the sheriff's office, and I see progress happening in our schools,
That was good
I
results.
really
He
feel
just-
like we're getting better value.
His results are good. What
Yeah,
he
we're
just
getting
said
great
here.
value for
Everything's
those
going, all the
dollars,
crime's going
right?
down, good stuff.
And everybody could always spend more, but I think you're doing a good job there.
Yeah.
Now, my last one is, appreciate the purchase of the dedicated street sweeper for Joppatowne and Edgewood, and I do see it on a frequency schedule. But there's a couple issues still that I think we could improve. One is, it's come through my neighborhood several times on Monday, and Monday's trash day. So everybody's trash cans are in the street. The guy might as well just drive down the middle of the road, because he
Okay.
can't get in and out.
Yeah.
So coordinating with,
Let me just, Rob, you're taking notes,
Yeah.
right? Okay,
Yeah.
I got a note taker at home.
good, because you're here, and
Yeah, he's
Rob
taking
will
notes, okay.
so,
Because we can do those. These are things we can merge.
You don't have eyes, you have to.
No, but we can merge track schedules onto our.
Let's speak sometimes.
That's an important thing.
So, coordinating with all the communities when trash pickup is. Second, I think getting on a standard published schedule out there on social media, so I can move my vehicle off the street on those
Correct.
days. I would do that. There are days when I could easily have moved my car. I didn't know you were coming,
Okay.
and then I can see you sweep around my car. And then the third thing would be to use our communication system that you guys have. I mean, I hear when the barbecue's canceled at Bel Air, why can't I get something 2 days in advance if I sign up? To have a voicemail come to my phone or something, or a text that says, street sweeping's gonna happen in your neighborhood 3 days from now, or
We'll be
whatever,
happy to
you
work
know?
with you on
I think
that.
it would just improve the process.
Yeah, so just so you know, so this is you're our first experiment in the county for a regular. I mean, the other ones that do that are Haverty Grace, Aberdeen, Bel Air, those are municipalities. So this is a new county venture. We usually we get a call and say, this street's really dirty, it's got, something happened, it's really dirty. That's how it generally works around the county. It's not like a regular schedule. So I appreciate that. We're learning. Our guys,
Yep.
it's new to them, so yeah, those are great ideas. Thank you. Yes.
I guess to tag on to what you said too, so my career was in communications, and I think I've mentioned this to you before. Like, you really need some professional help with communications. Not me, but I mean, you're doing some really good stuff here, and like, we all know in this room, and if people complain on Nextdoor or my my community Facebook page, I'll speak up and say something. But I think for the entire Southern County region, most people don't know the good stuff that you're doing.
Yeah, so I can tell you, I've sat with the Sun paper and said, look, go talk to me. We know a lot of good stuff. But they would just rather cover nonsense. They have no interest in, they have zero, if it's not people fighting, if nobody's calling you a crook or a sleaze, they don't care. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. There is zero interest. So we do Facebook, we do the newsletter, we do email notices. But yeah, I find it discouraging too, but it's not just your part of the county. Nobody has any, on the media side, there is zero interest in any positive news at all. But one stupid story, and suddenly all of Harford County is as dumb as the dumb. Look, a lot of people. There are some dumb people out there, and suddenly we're all as dumb as the dumbest person that does the stupidest thing in Harford County, and that's the image they like. So I'm sorry. We try. Yes.
Well, to that point, if we're talking about communication and the availability of data, there's this live stream running right now, and the only reason it's running is because I'm here. And as I announced at the beginning of the meeting, I'm not going to be at this meeting next month, so we're not going to have a live stream. And I think that this is an opportunity for us to be able to get this information. You don't even have to do all of your own communications. If something good is happening, we could go in and clip a YouTube clip out and say, hey, look at this good thing that's happening. Or we had John Peters from the Cordish Companies here last month, and I was able to say, hey, here's what's going on at the shopping center, so that we don't have a bunch of people spreading false rumors or focusing on the negative. So I think that would be good. And then also, I'll have your attention. I am very grateful for the Southern County Task Force. I think it's wonderful. But one of the things that I would like to see is a little bit more collaboration rather than, when we go to the meetings, which by the way have always been on Thursdays. So if anybody's busy on Thursdays, tough luck.
I didn't notice that, but we can adjust. That's not. I'm not aware that was intentional, but.
Oh no! I'm just saying, like, that's one of the things that I'm
Okay.
usually busy on Thursdays. So, which another opportunity for live streaming, by the way. But if we have collaboration, those meetings for the first, 45 minutes to an hour is a bunch of report out. And I know that, Rob is super great at responding to us and he comes to our meetings, but we've kind of talked as a community, like, we're never quite sure that it gets all the way up to you. Not through Rob. I think Rob probably presents things, but we say things and then it just seems to kind of disappear into the ether for a while. And then maybe like 6 months later at one of the task force meetings it's mentioned. But I feel like that those meetings could be a little more collaborative, or these meetings could be a little more collaborative, where we could present some ideas from our side rather than, it feels like the county saying, well, this is what we would like to do. And I think it's done by data from what you've heard from us, but.
No, I appreciate that, and I mean, I'll leave it up to the leadership. I mean, I rely on these meetings to hear up from the community. I can't get out to all the meetings all the time, so I certainly, and I do get the reports up, and we sit in meetings up at 2:20 and review from all the community advisory boards, and get great ideas out of those. I'm a big advocate of ideas coming up through the people, through the system, through my employees, so we're happy to listen, I appreciate it.
Well, we have a question in the back. Bill?
Me in the back, yes.
First, a little bit of good news, a little bit of bad news. Your
Okay.
letter got MDOT to at least meet with us on remediation of wetlands. So, Leo and I are gonna have a discussion about what they can do,
Thank you.
and then we can get that back to people, what we can get done.
Right, thank you.
Also wanna congratulate you, you've moved a long way on Grizzlies Reserve. We filed a complaint last week, cause you aren't perfect yet,
Yeah, that's all right.
but you want some good PR, and this goes to everybody.
Yeah.
Come on out to the flotilla for the gunpowder on April 26th. We've already started calling the meeting.
Okay,
And also, we're gonna need that flotilla to get the Amtrak bridge raised, so we can get more boats in the marina, so we can do the economic development and get the money to keep the river clean.
I appreciate it, thank you very much, thank you. Yeah, some good, yes.
Thanks for coming, by the way.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, so, I was looking at the guy behind you, but go ahead, we'll get you next, okay?
Next.
That's all right, go ahead. Sorry, Dion.
We talked some time, and I've talked to Harford Cable Network about televising the council meetings live. And since we have cameras there, we got people there, I try to get a cost of what that would cost. And I don't know whether this number still holds, but it was about $800 a meeting. And I didn't think that was a lot of money, when you consider there's only 3 meetings a month, and there aren't any meetings in the summertime. So maybe you could take a look at televising it live instead of, because there are, my understanding, there's 4 legislative channels on cable. 3 of them are run by Baltimore County, but there's 1 left, and we could get on that according to the lady that.
So there's 2 things I don't control. One is the county council, and the other is HCN. The council, it's one of those sort of unique things that in a county operation that the council owns HCN themselves. It's not under my purview. I mean, they're friendly to me. I go over, but I don't control their budget or anything. They do what they want to do. So I support what you're saying, but
Somebody did control it.
yeah. And all the way back. Yes. Hi.
All right. Reading an article over the weekend, and this goes towards the Harford County Public School Board, that they want to switch
Oh, yeah.
high school and elementary school start time.
Saw that.
Now, to me, that makes 0 sense, okay? I've had little ones, and now I got big ones, and I got grandkids in high school. You want the high schoolers to participate and get into the workforce. But if you're going to make them go to school from 9 to 5, they can't get a job in the evenings after school, okay? You know, I've got a grandson playing lacrosse up at Patterson Mill. My son's the varsity lacrosse coach at Patterson Mill. When are your football games, your lacrosse games going to get played if school doesn't end until 5 o'clock, okay? And then to try and tell me that taking a kindergartner and putting them on a school bus at 6:45 in the morning is absolutely ridiculous. I don't know what you have to do about that and what kind of say you have over that school board. But these guys are off the rockers.
Yeah, not to mention, some of the older kids look out for the little ones, so.
Exactly.
Yeah, so look, I don't have any control over that, and my sentiment, Monday, 3 days a week, I drive a preschooler, and 2 elementary schoolers, and a middle schooler to school. And I completely agree with everything you're saying, that it doesn't, I'm like, this doesn't work, this just doesn't, just not, so look, unfortunately, I have no control, the school board is what it is, but I certainly, my sentiments are yours.
Cut your budget.
Yeah. Yeah. Hi.
Mrs. Robinson said that I should raise my hand and talk, but I don't want to jump up in line or anything.
Just answer your question.
My question is,
Yes.
are you aware of our predicament at Jerusalem Mill? And we're dealing with a little village there that dates back to the 1700s, prior to even the Bush Declaration, which we're celebrating this year. We're not against mountain biking, but we feel that our little village is in jeopardy of being kind of overrun. We have an erosion issue. My daughter can show you, if you guys want to stick around afterwards, we can answer questions, but the watershed is very delicate. I also was talking with Theo today, and the erosion and potential for overuse of our footpaths by mountain bikers is we're really concerned about that. You can see, and again, Bill and Theo will attest to the fact that when we get a heavy rain, I live right next to Jerusalem on the Little Gunpowder, and as you know, the river runs brown and yellow, and we're a little fearful that the mountain bike folks, I'm not against mountain biking, but have you talked with Larry or Terry or anybody about?
No, I'll delve into this. Rob, will you put that on my agenda? I mean, I'm certainly support Jerusalem Mill. I think it's a fantastic. I thought you were saying talking about Harford too. I mean about the Bush Declaration. I thought I was going to talk about, but no, I'm happy to take a look at that personally.
Well, just as an aside to that point, Bush Declaration, of course, was we're celebrating the 250th year, and it actually predates our Declaration of Independence. And there are a lot of really neat events coming up later on in the month. We can tour a lot of the old buildings and homes of people that were involved in that. How many of you folks here have been to Jerusalem? Okay, well, that's wonderful.
The one here, the one in
It's a real special place.
Yeah, I had no
You know, our trails and our footpaths are real special. And getting back to Mr. Cassilly, if you could take a look, the folks, the Dumbo folks, the mountain bike folks they now have night rides. which to me is kind of ridiculous because the parks have traditionally always been open, during the day, from dusk to dawn. That's when the parks sleep and rest and kind of recuperate. Getting a 6-hour, 200-person race at Jerusalem Village on April the 5th, and
They don't look like these pictures there. Their format is the same as 6 hours at Woodstock. That's an idea.
That's a state park.
Yeah, it's the
the problem is, and Mr. Cassilly will attest to this, it's in Gunpowder State Park. It's a state park. We're county folks, and there are limitations as to what you can do.
Yeah, I don't have jurisdiction, but we can work with them. I mean, they're not adverse to us. We do work with the state park folks. I don't consider them as a adversarial or anything, but
Well,
we'll
unfortunately,
we can talk to.
park management, all the way up to Secretary Kurtz, thinks that it's a great idea to kind of make Jerusalem Village the mecca of mountain biking.
Yeah.
And a lot more trails, and proposed putting a lot more trails there. And if you hike or like to walk along our footpaths from Covered Bridge, so forth, the thought of having these folks fly by on their bikes, and also, what do they call the?
E-bikes.
Yeah, they're also using
Very
e-bikes.
prevalent, and they're actually illegal in the parks, but it's not enforced.
And what kind of batteries?
And they do run on lithium-ion batteries, which are very flammable, which is a fire risk. So there's so many different issues that we didn't even know about, and all of a sudden, all of this information is coming to us. We're so concerned about it. And one big thing we wanted to make a big point of is the mountain bikers have access to thousands of trails, but we only have one historic 18th century village. And we need to protect it and preserve it, and it's just very important to us. And my dad's the founder of the Friends of Jerusalem Mill, and my entire family has been very active for the past 42 years. So we just want to protect this village that everybody loves.
Thank you. Thank
What
you.
do they say when you all go to them? Like, I mean, they ain't got this mess going on at the Hampton Historical or the other. They ain't got bikes riding through there or through where Harriet Tubman's stuff is. Or what kind of stuff are they putting down? They're giving y'all troubles?
It is the oldest intact mill village in the country.
In the whole United States.
We think it's kind of special. And any of you that would like to tell your neighbors or any organizations you belong to, we would appreciate it. But thank you. I didn't mean to jump in.
Thank you.
What Mrs. Robinson told me.
Yes.
That's
All
right, Lenore.
In reference to that, if it's that old, it should be on the National Registry.
We
It
are.
should have some federal protection of it. We should supersede the state.
The federal folks have said it's a state park. We've talked to the National Register of Historic Places and so forth, and they say, talk to your park manager. And the park manager is one of the big advocates of the mountain bikers. Yeah, but we are on the National Registry.
All right, any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a couple. What is going on with the redevelopment and the plans at Harford Mall? Because people are on the app complaining about, adding buildings, what it's gonna do.
So that's the town of Bel Air. I don't have any. They have their own. I mean, that's a municipality. What happens in municipalities is they're not under my authority, the county council's authority. So,
Okay, but what about like they're building apartments in Avenue? We're saying
Well, that's
we're
different.
here talking about zoning and you're talking about budget issues, but who is doing the plan? And we had the gentleman Shane here from planning,
Right.
because you have all of this stuff coming in. You have overcrowding in the schools. Then what happened to looking at healthcare services? Because the only thing we have is Upper Chesapeake. And I've had 2 bad experiences and talked to other people. I had a heart attack. They put a stent in, come to find out, they crushed the stent putting it in. Then New Year's Eve, I was taken to Upper Chesapeake. They did tests and told me that my heart was failing and only pumping at 49%. And I had just had a test in October. I followed up with my cardiologist, and my heart was still pumping at 60, ejection fraction was 60-some%. I keep running into people having bad experiences there, but we have no other alternative. Meanwhile, every time I speak to people and go to Mercy, their employees are desperate to come here. You have those houses sitting down there that aren't being sold. All of those employees want to get into Harford County. Mercy is building personal physician cares all over and putting them in every county. Why are they still not here? It's like,
I don't understand.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, the question is, when are we gonna look at some of these supports to the zoning? You can't just keep building stuff and not having the roads there, or not having the services that people want and are expecting. Then how is all of this building going to affect the energy problems and the energy crisis that we're having in the state? We have all this water here in Harford County, so is that an answer to go to powering some of the electric? Because you keep adding things. Everybody's gas and electric bills in here just went sky high. What type of solution is the county gonna do for itself? And then the next thing is, you had Mr. Dempsey here talking to us about funding and stuff with zoning. But what is going on with services to the disabled and the homeless population in this county?
That's a lot.
You're a lawyer, but you are a lawyer. Nobody should be violating the ADA.
Yeah. So yeah, look, we have a pretty involved planning process, but it doesn't cover everything. I mean, our planning process doesn't cover medical care issues. That's an independent issue, and same thing is with energy. That's a statewide thing. So we zone to try to make sure you have enough stores and daycare centers and those kind of things available, schools, but we don't get into healthcare. Those are state level issues that we don't impact. Yeah, yes.
Could you let me know what's going on 24? All they're taking on trees down, and what are they building there? What's going on there?
Yeah, so that is the Route 95 that's all controlled by its own separate state entity, right? That's not state highway. That's MDTA. Yeah, MDTA, and they do their own plan. They don't ask us, okay? Just so you know, we're not like, hey, Harford, what would you like on 95? It's like, here's what you're getting. We're moving the traffic from Virginia to Pennsylvania, and you're in the way, and here it goes. So all that project you see along 95 coming up is all them, and what you see on both sides of 95 on 24, that's part of the MDTA project. That's why it just stopped suddenly. People said, why didn't you run it all the way into Bel Air? Because MDTA doesn't care about going to Bel Air. Their only objective was to make sure traffic doesn't back up onto 95. So they were moving those few, they're getting it off 95, and they're like, it's not our problem. That's State Highway's problem. And State Highway's like, well, we're broke, so you're not going nowhere with us. So, and the big project you're seeing right there is that entire interchange is coming out. That's a brand new interchange. If you want to know kind of what it's going to look like, if you go down to the new White Marsh interchange, it's kind of what that's going to look like. It's a big interchange. So you're seeing all the lead into all of that, and that's why all that got cleared out. So
all the express lanes coming up.
All those express lanes coming up will lead into that, but then coming across all those crazy lights and stuff, that'll be gone. You just get off and hit 24 and keep on moving. It's been a bottleneck for us because, if you, some of you, following the traffic coming out of Edgewood Arsenal, coming up that way on 24, that can be packed up darn near from the gate all the way to 95 sometimes. So that's devastating. So that'll alleviate that. So we're working with them, and they did give us input. We got to make some changes in some of the intersections and make them a little bit better in operating. But that's a big project. Yeah.
Well, do they give the county back any money for, like, you've had all of these accidents that have kept Mr. Ron and Mr. Jim over here? You
No.
know, they don't contribute anything to how their new traffic
No.
patterns are affecting the
No.
county or anything like that?
No. Yes.
So going back to what she said,
Mhm.
how do these developers just come in and build? Do they have to have some kind of state approval? Is there a study done on the state side? Because she has
we
a
go through
valid point.
Yeah, so we go through a lengthy process. You have the master plan, and the last master plan was 2016, I think, Dion? Was it 2016? I think the last master plan.
That whole area.
Yeah, but it's the entire county. We do a master plan for the entire county, and that determines what the land usages will be. And then you can pass zoning. Zoning can be increased according to what the master plan is. As you zone, you're supposed to be looking at what are the schools that, and well, after you zone it, and then you say, I want to build 100 houses here, then you look and say, well, where are the schools, where the stores goes and all that, where's the traffic? So we have the Development Advisory Committee group that looks at every new housing development and says, how's this gonna impact the traffic? Which can only go so far out for the traffic, and that's one of the problems with that, you start getting a mile away, well, that traffic is still there, but that developer doesn't have to pay for it. We did just increase the impact fee. That's what the developer has to pay on schools. And so we did that one, and now we're trying to get in Annapolis to give us more authority, because it's still not high enough. It's still too low for that. So look, the one big change we made recently was that you could put B3 in a B3 zone. You could put apartments. So just to explain to you how the problem that would be, B3 would be like McDonald's and those kind of things. Well, McDonald's don't add to the school population. The new Safeway doesn't add to the school population. Well, that's what could be in a B3. So now we're trying to plan for schools, and you say, well, that's B3, so it's going to be McDonald's in schools. Say, but the council said, under my predecessor and the county executive and predecessor said, you can put apartments in a B3. Say, wait a second, how do you plan for that? This is B3, it's either going to be 200 more kids in the schools or 0. So you can't plan for that. And so we were able to reverse that and say, no, B3 does not include, B3 means McDonald's and Safeways. It doesn't mean big apartment complexes. So that was a huge win for us on just improving planning.
That gentleman, go ahead, sir.
Yes.
We'll go back probably 4 years ago, before they started building Ridgely Reserve, they had the same issues. Where are the schools, where's the hospitals, the fire department, and no funding has come anywhere. And it's terrible that nobody stood up for Joppa and Joppatowne building that Ridgely Reserve over there, because I'm right on Hanson Road. On the extended side. We had stormwater, we had to stop that, and I couldn't believe the lack of representation we had in Harford.
And look, I've been over there and I've seen it.
No new schools.
No new schools. Yeah, there were challenges there. I mean, we walked in, it's already a fait accompli, so we've been working on it, but we're trying to make the best out of it we can. But we're coming with the horses are out, and we're trying to put the barn doors closed. It's kind of tough.
Last question?
Too late, man.
Yeah.
Has any, I understand that you said a lot of this stuff with the healthcare and the hospitals and stuff is all state level, okay? But the county is the one that's getting the, no, they're not getting money up on this. What they're getting is, pardon the expression, the county's getting the bad end of the stick on this, okay? Because right now, and it's been talked about here in these meetings here, you're having people going by ambulance to Upper Chesapeake and sitting there for 10 hours before they get to be seen.
We've cut that. I mean, well, they're not in the ambulance. I'm not saying they're not sitting in the hospital for 10 hours. I can tell you they're not in the ambulance anymore. But
either way,
it's
if
a long time to
somebody
be
seen is not a good thing.
Right.
So, can the county force the state because the state's allowing some of this stuff. Now, granted, I understand the county, could possibly put a moratorium on any new building until you can get a new hospital built for here, especially maybe for the northern part of the county, to take some of the relief off of Upper Chesapeake. If we got a second hospital, we used to have one there in Bel Air, but they got rid of that.
So,
If we had another hospital built out there in the northern part of the county, that would take a lot of the relief.
yeah, that's carefully controlled. I mean, I can tell you when, and Mr. Lyons can tell you as well, that when we do an ambulance dispatch, we'll tell them the hospitals are coded.
Right.
So if they're, like especially in this area, you'll end up at Franklin Square. A lot of our units go to Franklin Square. They'll just tell them, Bel Air's code red or whatever, and that tells that ambulance crew that if you, unless it's like, hey, I just gotta get this guy out of here, he's gonna die anyway. So those are coded, and we take them, we do a lot of transporting to Baltimore area hospitals. A lot of our people are.
Let me just add to this conversation. Because we had this conversation in this meeting with the experts, and it was clearly explained to us, all the county can do is zone properties for hospitals. The hospitals run from for-profit. If there's enough profit in it, they will build a hospital. The one in Bel Air closed because it wasn't making enough profit, and they went somewhere else. And so no one's gonna build a hospital until they go, I can build it in a place and I can make money doing it.
Well, the
and
other
that's
part of that is
unfortunate.
it's not just profit, because we do have the healthcare cost committee, whatever it's called, who actually restricts the size of hospitals. The addition to the hospital in Bel Air now, the Upper Chesapeake Memorial Medical Center, the hospital fought, and as a senator, I fought to add more rooms, and they would not build those rooms. They would say, well, that means that people have to go to Baltimore, and they're like, yeah. And you're like, okay, this is stacked against us, right? Because the medical institutions, the industrial complex, is based in Baltimore. And guess what? Baltimore's population is going down. How do you fill those hospitals up? Take you to Baltimore, right? I mean, it's pretty insidious, but that's kind of what's going on here. We don't want more rooms in Bel Air. And if you find out the challenge with the ER center in Bel Air, it's not that they got to move you up. They can't move you out. And you got too many people in there. They're trying to move them upstairs, where there's not enough beds upstairs to move them up to. So look, this is, I know, it's a bit of an ugly picture here, and you don't like to admit it, but there is that sort of that medical industrial complex out there, and it doesn't reside in Harford County. It's right downtown where all those big hospitals are that we all know what they are. And so we're just, hey, we'll give you enough, but not too much. So listen, I appreciate the chance to come in here and talk to folks. We'll take your suggestion back. I think I'll just put a plug in for the Bush Declaration. Its fame is that it was the first declaration that was passed by an elected body in the country. So as things are heating up in Boston with the Tea Party, our people came together over in Bush, which is at the intersection of 7 and 136. If you know where Bush Mill Inn is over there, kind of in that area, and they came together. I think it was like 36 of them or something like that. And they came up with a declaration that they supported independence and that they signed it at the risk of our lives and fortunes, which if you look at your county flag over there, it says at the risk of our lives and fortunes. That's what that means, which is also the words that close the Declaration of Independence. So clearly those authors had our Bush Declaration when they did that. I'm very proud that I had two of the signers. I got to go see the original. Two of the signers were actually my relatives going back in there, so it's kind of cool. But I got to see their actual handwritten stuff in there. So hope you all take, at least recognize that and push it out for what it is. So we're kind of proud of it in these parts.
We have one last question.
Okay, yeah.
Hands up.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I had a question in reference to, I don't know all of the correct verbiage, but the funds coming from the cannabis.
Right.
That they say they want to get back into the community.
Yes.
Certain communities. I was in some meetings months ago, and they were asking for some advice on what could be done. Last week, I'm on a call about it, and they say, or you is saying that you wanted to come back into the community, and it's like you have to basically, now I'm finding out, never told this in these other meetings, that you basically have to write, I feel like I'm writing the grant. So, is it really for us? And then, I only have 3 weeks to do it. And then I have to get all of these estimates. I thought some somebody else would be going out to get like they never said anything, and then they only give us, somebody knows that they March 20-something.
21st.
And we just heard about this last week. I just heard about this last week. I don't know, maybe some other people will be privy
Yeah,
to
can you give,
having more time.
can you give Rob, right here in the purple shirt, your name, your contact information? And we'll get back to you tomorrow, let you know what, have somebody talk to you. But yeah,
Maybe it can be extended, or maybe somebody can assist us in getting this information together. If
So-
it's really for the communities.
well, it's to impact the community. I'm not just giving this money out to people who want to capture the money. This is not a, hey, I'd like to have some money. This is high standards. There's gonna be audits. There's gonna be high standards for this stuff. It's gonna be impactful. I mentioned the one thing was the 8-week summer camp at Edgewood, at the Edgewood Rec Center. This is gonna be really professionally done. It'll have a full-time nurse on staff. It's gonna have Parks and Rec staff, NAACP's providing some staff in there.
3 weeks to get all of this information.
Yeah.
Like even for me to call to get somebody to come, because my concern, one, is basketball court. So now I gotta call people to come, give me estimates. I called last week, they're not coming until next week.
Okay.
So then that pushes me back.
You give Rob your name and number, we'll talk to you. We'll have somebody to call you tomorrow. We'll have somebody to call you
You
tomorrow.
said code enforcement, who's responsible for the code enforcement on your bill that passed the county council on the apartments? Because nobody should be homeless and have mice in the baby's crib in the new apartment, and the headquarters of the apartment complex admitted that they know that the buildings are faulty and where the mice are coming in at. And this person purposely chose to relocate to Harford County, ended up homeless dealing with all of this. Now they blowing up and telling everybody, don't go to Harford County. Who's responsible for enforcing
So
your bill?
Department of Inspections, Licensing and Permits enforces all that. So they've been out. I mean, I can tell you, I look at the violation notices and the volumes has picked up substantially.
You use click and fix it, I've done that, I've seen a house in our neighborhood got repaired.
All right.
Yeah, because Andre actually went to the apartment and the mics were running.
Just so that everybody knows, there's some handouts up here about the Bush Declaration that
Thank
he
you.
was talking about.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you all again. I appreciate it. Have a good evening.
Samantha?
Out of time. Meeting adjourned.
Yeah, you're up, and then,
I miss Mr. Ron.
yeah, I know. Bring your bag, we got feet of these, I think he's got stuff.
Remember, he said he had surgery, he was having knee surgery.
That's right.
You have 5 minutes, Samantha.
That's fine. All I need is one.
Good.
I apologize for being
Oh,
late
don't
again.
tell him that, because he really will count us.
That's fine. I can give you 30 seconds if you want. I did lay some copies of the county council highlights in the back of the room. I only brought 20 copies. If we need more, we can make more. For people who haven't been here before, I'm Samantha Harris. I work for the county council president. So where the county executive was just talking, he's the head of the executive branch. County council president Pat Vincenti, he's the head of the legislative branch. So we're the co-equal branch of government for Harford County. We pass the laws, and then his side of the street enforces the laws. That's kind of how it rolls. But this paper here is just a front and back. This is a summary of our meetings that were held in February. But does anybody have any specific questions, council related, that I can take back? I know we have several. We have Lauren here, who's representing District B tonight, from former Councilman Penman's office. In the meantime, there is no council member for District B. As many of you probably have seen through the news or the paper, he was removed from office, and right now that process is rolling and moving forward. The clock was like 60 days to get someone new appointed to that seat. So Lauren will be your point of contact, but as always, you can contact our office as well. Don't feel like you're not represented. I know we also have Councilwoman Robert here as well, and I'm sure she's going to do a presentation. So unless anybody has any questions or feedback or information I can take back to President Vincenti.
Stand up?
Oh, no, not yet.
Oh, no, I wanted to see her.
Me?
Oh, yeah, Lauren.
Oh, sorry. I just
Yeah.
This is Lauren. She's great.
People were asking,
I've been
who's
here
Lauren?
before, but in case you don't know me, I'm Lauren McDougall, and I will still be in the office District B if you need any assistance.
We're a new division of Harford County.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's us, Jim and I.
Okay.
Well, thanks, Sam.
Thank you.
All right.
Are you-
See, I told
are you
it'd be
good?
quick.
Thank you, Samantha.
Okay.
Lenora, you're up.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
If you have any questions, I'd like for you to repeat the question, because sometimes it doesn't always get to the back of the room, and that really is not fair to everyone. I do have some handouts here. Our veterans are very important, and I think I had also asked about how many people in the room were veterans. At the Level Far Hall, there was a program that the county executive and I attended. And during that particular banquet where people were recognized, there was a fire, a brush fire, up on 155 on Saturday. It was like a mini California. And I just want to say, if there's any firefighters in here, thank you, God bless you. It was an unusual experience trying to have a banquet to celebrate people. As I said earlier, the county executive was there as well. They started out with 15 calls around 5:45, and they ended up with 17 to 18, and the firefighters were trying to enjoy the program. They had to jump up immediately to attend to that. So between our volunteers, I'd like to give a round of applause to them and also our veterans. I'm going to give you some historical information. Some of it may be repetitive from the county executive. This month marks 250 years. It's an anniversary of the Bush Declaration signed in Harford County in 1775, right before I was born. This historic document was the nation's first declaration by elected representatives in support of independence. Our county executive and your family, we wish to have you join in the upcoming celebration, and it's for all ages. It's called Celebrate Bush 250. Before the American Declaration of Independence from England was signed in 1776, Harford County was the site of the nation's first declaration signed by elected representatives in support of independence. The Bush Declaration of 1775 was signed by 34 local men at our location. We want you to join the 250th year anniversary. It's an important document, and these brave souls who risked everything for our liberty. Free to the family-friendly event, and it's planned on March 22nd through the 23rd. They're going to have live music, passport to history, a tour of Harford County sites that's related to the Declaration. I want you to pick up your passport at any library and get stamps at 4 locations to earn a certificate and a historical badge. Our scouts, they can earn a special Bush 250 patch. Go to the website, www.harfordhistory.org/Bush Declaration. The county executive is advocating for student safety, and I keep going back to the incident in Joppa, but the county executive talked about this at previous meetings. Last week, the county executive testified at state legislation, importing them to help keep kids safe in school. They included the devastation that took place at the Joppatowne High School, that shooting, and we all remember that. So the county executive is focusing on school safety. He's providing information about potential dangers, and he wants authorities to realize they need to protect all of our students, whether it's Joppa or anywhere in the county. There is a video that's going to be available I reiterate, go to the website so you can keep abreast of what's taking place. The county executive is funding the educational budget. He'd like to thank the Harford County Board of Education for their unanimous approval of a budget to request for the county growth, anticipated growth in the county, the revenue that we're going to need next year. He has a budget team, and he may have said this earlier, and they're working on it very hard. Worldwide, we're all in this together. If you paid cable, you've listened to TV. Politics is on the top of the list. Bills are going up in households. It's realistic. Doesn't make any difference if you voted, didn't vote, who you voted for, but we're still all in this together. The county executive's goal is to set a budget, the level that allows for reasonable increases in education funding over the next several years without raising taxes on households, and that we're already struggling to make ends meet. If you looked at your BG&E bill lately, okay, it's either doubled or tripled. I'm single. How did I use 250 watts of electricity? So these are things within Harford County that your county executive is working on. We will still face a great risk that the state will balance its budget by shifting more costs onto counties, including unfunded mandates from the state's blueprint for education, which is outrageously favors expanding bureaucracy. Nonetheless, the county executive is going to look forward to continuing the ongoing collaboration between the school system and his administration. You can go to the website and look at our budget. It will be available April 15th. Every 8 years, the county code requires a comprehensive zoning to review that allows property owners to request a change in their property's existing zoning designation. The 24-25 comprehensive zoning review was announced a year ago, and after careful review, the county executive just last week, he sent a draft legislation that approves all or part of 18 out of 65 requested zoning changes to our county council. The council will be holding hearings on April 1st and April 8th before making a final decision. Our administration's primary goal was to achieve a balance between protecting our quality of life and allowing for appropriate business development and growth. It was also important to make our process as transparent as possible. There are several websites that you can go to, but if you go to the main website, www.harfordcountymd.gov, you can input any question you have and you'll get a response to it. On the telephone, you've heard of the cuts in different offices. When you go down Route 40, they took the government sign down. That's where I used to work when I was working. It really hurts because those red brick buildings are sitting on Route 40, unoccupied. Tax credit for qualifying seniors. And there's literature here, you can come up and get some. There may be duplications on the information I'm sharing this evening. A tax credit for qualifying seniors and veterans. Harford County Senior Tax Credit allows eligible seniors and veterans to receive a 20% credit on your county property. To qualify, residents must be at least 65 years of age, own their home in the county, and that is their primary resident. They must have lived in their home for at least 35 consecutive years, or have retired from the U.S. services, or be surviving spouses of qualifying retired veterans. There is veteran information here to help you as well. Bob Brown is still in town. You can contact him. Information is here at the top. Sorry. There is a housing fair. He's my relative, don't worry about it. The housing fair is March 22nd. We have material there as well, okay? Buying a home is still important to all of us. Rentals are still going up. At least go to the housing fair. There's literature up here, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. Free help is available. I said earlier something about the library being free. Maybe that was last month. The library is still free. If your computer skills are not up to par, the librarians will certainly help you. Anyone that's going to be attending the housing fair, you will have access to housing resources from over 30 different vendors. Now is your opportunity. I know it sounds a little difficult this time, but there's still money out there. The fair will be held on Saturday, March 22nd from 9 a.m. to 1:30 at the Epic Center in Edgewood. That's 1918 Pulaski Highway. Inside Harford County, facing addictions. We're talking about that over and over again, but not only are we going to be facing addictions, we're going to be facing a lot of mental health issues with what we're going through in the world. So you need to reach out and get these resources. Maybe there's someone you know that is stepping back from admitting they have a condition of that nature. Please reach out to them. It could even be your neighbor. Facing addictions, once again, go to the website for that information. Good news. Daylight saving time is March 9th. Check your fire alarms. Time to change everything. But that is good news. It's the perfect time to test your farm alarms and change the batteries as well. Ladies, they're going to be honoring us. It's Women's History Month. The county is proud. It's a proud home for many of the trailblazing ladies or women. The Harford County government Facebook page will be honoring some of these amazing women in March. It is Women's History Month. Visit that website. Enjoy your evening.
Thank you. Moving along, Ron Solomon is not with us, somebody said he had knee surgery replacement, so he's recuperating. Our prayers for Ron. Debbie, you have a report for Nolanda? Oh, I
Nolanda's here.
Short sometimes. I didn't see you come in, sorry. Yeah, I'm good.
Good evening. So we've heard a lot about the budget and about zoning. So we did just recently get our binders for the comprehensive rezoning. In our area, it seems like we have 17 applications for District A. So we will be looking through them. I just got them. One of the individuals is actually have 11 of the properties. So we'll see how that goes. But we just got it. And as you know, the hearings won't be until the beginning of April. And then also in April, we'll be working on the budget once we get that from the county executive. And we'll be starting to have our meetings and hearings on that as well. I received a lot of questions about the Gunpowder River Bridge, Bush River Bridge project. So I did receive an email from Mr. Fuller. He's been my contact. He advised to me what the timeline is going to look like. So in the summer of 2025, there's going to be a planned initiation of preliminary engineering and National Environmental Protection Act activities. These will include opportunities for public comment and preliminary design and environmental reviews of a preferred design alternative. After that, we won't hear from them again until about 2028, when there'll be a planned completion of these two things. And in 2030 is the estimated initiation of construction. So I wanted to give you an honest timeline of what it was looking like. I know everyone got the surveys, who submitted the surveys back to him, but they did give me links for the Bush River, the Gunpowder River, and I can send that out to you where you can keep abreast of it yourselves and go on and get information as it's going along. So I wanted to make sure that you were aware of what that was looking like, because a lot of people thought it was happening pretty quickly. I know the biggest other thing has been where the Southern Baptist Church, swim club property, etc. That has also been a big conversation. All I know is they were clearing a lot of debris. And so I have not heard any immediate plans. There's been a couple different conversations, but all I do know is they have to file for permits at this point and provide additional information. So it's kind of, we're all at a wait and hear and see in order to see what we want to do about it when the time comes of whatever they decide that they would like to put there. I know the North Bay Marina, I believe they are doing what they need to do to try to, get themselves up and running. I hear that they did have someone come out and check out the feasibility of putting a pool there. I really haven't had any more conversations to figure out if that was feasible at this point, but I know that they're trying to expand on that marina. I think it's a great idea. It'll bring a lot of business in at the long run when it all occurs. But that's what I know about that information as well. I have been doing community meet and greets. I did one in Joppatowne, I did one in Edgewood, and I'm doing the last one in Abington on Thursday. It came with a lot of great discussion, some of which is kind of what our county executive spoke about, the things that are happening by MDTA on this 95 and the trees, that we really don't really have too much of a say in that, unfortunately. And it's, every time I drive by there, it looks pretty gruesome. But now that I realize that they're making it look like White Marsh, I can see how that's going to play out, because I drive through White Marsh to get certain places a lot. So that should be, I think it'll help with the traffic flow in the long run. And then I've met with a lot of other individuals, such as the Southern County Task Force, the 755 Alliance. One of the things we said, and somebody else mentioned it earlier, is communication, letting our constituents, letting everyone know what's out there. We talked, and I know there's a lot of great work, but when I've talked to Thanktum and Rob, basically what we got is our pool of outreach is very small, and how do we get out there and let the whole community know all the things that 755 is doing, what the Southern County Task Force is doing, that there is a street sweeper. And I did bring that up about the schedule. I asked if I could get some sort of schedule, that we get one in place so that we all know what it is. So that was one of the things I noticed, is that nobody knows except for the people who are on our email list. Our email lists are small. I think each of us have like a 200 and some people, and it's probably the same 200 and some people that are attending all the meetings. So that's still something we're all discussing, hopefully as a community, to figure out how we can get better outreach to everyone to know what is going on in the community. And then I actually got the honor to do a first Eagle Scout recognition. I thought that was great. I was a Girl Scout, not a Eagle Scout, but I thought those two young men did a great job as to how they got their award, and being able to do that with them and give them a proclamation was great. So I'm going to continue outreaching. I have meetings with Mr. Brown this week with veterans. I have another meeting with Joe Seamack to discuss what's going on with the waterways and the health of the waterways. So I am still diligently moving along, getting to know everything as much as possible, and making sure that I educate you as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
To speak to anybody from Southern Baptist, because one of the problems before was the projects that they wanted to do, that land wasn't zoned for, and they were told that they needed to, the next zoning thing, reapply. Did they apply?
They were fine with zoning. You're talking about the old pool property?
Right.
They were fine with zoning. They needed a variance. They needed a variance for the parking lot.
But they wanted to build, in one plan, they wanted to build senior.
Yes.
Yeah, they still.
Yes, it was called the Synergy Center,
Mhm.
and they let the plans lapse, so they have to go through all
They
over
have to do
again.
everything
They have to
again.
correct zoning.
Right.
Do they have to do like the community input meeting and DAC and everything?
That's up to planning and zoning.
Yeah.
David?
Yeah, where is your meet and greet on Thursday?
Abingdon Grove for the Abingdon residents.
Abingdon, what time?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock, okay.
Carol, on the pool property, they took down the fence, but they're using it as a dump site. There's an old sofa and a chair. It's been sitting there since whenever.
I thought someone had reported that and they were cleaning up that debris, is what I heard.
Well,
And
I
that was
drove
just
by the
last
other
week.
day and the sofa was still there.
Okay.
It's not been there just a week. It's been there a couple of years.
It's been a year.
I still sit there. I mean.
With your timer.
You're still sitting there.
There is timer. Plus, on top of that, he doesn't pay any taxes.
Which is why he's not bothering to do anything with it, because it's, yeah, it's free. Hang on one second. We'll let the other, and then I got you.
Glad you brought the pool property up. I know we had issues going over there with the whole Terry handling on them. And when they were tearing everything down, they didn't have a permit, so they evidently, they must have generated a permit because they shut them down.
Mhm.
And now they're doing it again. Well, anyway, this guy has, this quote, preacher unquote, has owned this property for now over 12 years. He hasn't done a thing to it. We're really upset in the community. It's smack dab in the middle of the community, and it's an eyesore. Joe Woods was working with Joe Woods, and he was talking to him about possibly buying the property, but every time that guy thinks somebody wants to buy his property, he increases, he doubles or triples or
That's what I keep
quadruples.
hearing.
He told Joe he wanted 17 million.
Wow.
The appraisal we had for the property, the only appraisal I know was 2 appraisals. The highest one was 900,000. And he bought it real quick because he thought, this is 20 years ago.
Right.
He bought it real quick because he thought the county was going to buy it from him. So he buys it for 800,000, and the next day he puts it on the market for 1.6 million. Well, the county couldn't do that because I had a bill passed that they couldn't pay more than the highest appraisal, which was 900,000. And when you get to the point, I've talked to Paul about it. I've talked to Jansen and Gloria and Phil and Joppa and a lot of people in the room. And we've come to the same conclusion. The only way we're going to get this guy's attention is if we can get you to introduce a bill to downzone that property from what it presently is to R1. That'll get his attention. And you have every right to do that. You don't need anybody else's authority. You need 3 votes, okay, if the time comes. But You don't need the lawyers, you don't need the other council members. You can, as representing this area, you can develop a bill to downzone that property to R1. And it's perfectly logical there, because there's nothing but single-family homes. And with our R1 now, because I got that bill passed, you can only build single-family homes in R1. So if you would do that for us, and they can all speak for themselves, but we've talked about this in scanning emails in so many years. Now it's been 12 years, and it's going to be longer. He's just sitting on it. He doesn't pay any taxes because he's a quote preacher.
Because of the preacher. Yeah.
And he gets away with that, so he just sits there. I don't know what he's waiting for, but all he does is cut the grass. Now he's knocking a whole bunch of trees down and more crap. But anyway,
Okay.
Well, you know what grabbed his attention? I told him we were gonna come to Sunday service. I emailed him and told him he was holding the community up. How dare he built a medical center and stuff. They were all over the news about it. Fox 45 didn't know, they had got the word that someone had been put in place to him, because they wanted to speak on that, because I let them know, look, this man is holding my poor friend back here, trying to do something with the kids, Joppa Rec Council and stuff, that he hasn't done anything. He got money to build 2 centers in the city.
Right.
He needs to be accountable for that land. He can build a community center, since he want to build community centers for the rec league and stuff. But like I said, the lady over at Fox 45 didn't know that there was somebody in there. But I straight threatened him and told him the rec council was going to come and march in his church one Sunday morning if he didn't sit down and talk to somebody.
I mean, he actually has a church.
Yeah, Southern Baptist in the city. It's big. Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
So, as far as that goes, he came to a meeting a number of years back and was proposing his complex for senior homes and a gymnasium in there. And as it ended up, he wanted to charge the rec council to use his gymnasium when it wasn't in use by his people.
Right.
But that's not what I had my hand for.
Thank you.
I'm the president, my name's Danny John, I'm the president of Joppatowne Rec Council. Been in this community, been with the Joppatowne Rec Council for 35 years. I'd like to try and get a traffic survey down around on Trimble Road at Cunyon Field. You got a double blind curve coming downhill into the valley where the entrance and exit to that park are. The weather's starting to get nicer, people are gonna be up there. There's been a number of accidents right there because you're coming down, and I'm telling you they're flying because I manned the gate during football season, and they're going way over the speed limit.
Are you?
Try and get some speed reduction devices.
Do you mean Copenhagen Park?
So
You
actually,
said Cunyon Field. You mean Copenhagen Park? Copenhagen.
So actually, at the Joppa meet and greet, Steve Overbay was there, and a couple people have mentioned the traffic speeding and the traps. So we are looking to see what's the cheapest method to slow that down.
Last year, the sheriff was coming out there on game days and putting up cones and monitoring, and that people had said that was a vast improvement.
They only came, the sheriff's department came one time, all the rest of the cones we put out. They only did it one time for me.
So yeah, that was brought up, and we were looking into that to see what is the easiest method, because you were not, I heard that for the past couple years about the area.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Just to mention again, I'm Laura McDougal, I'm from the Office of District B. If you guys need any assistance or need any help, I'm still there to answer your questions, email, call the office, I'll be there to answer and happy to help.
Thank you. All right, is there anybody here from Andre Johnson's office? Okay. Donald, this is Donald Watson, and he is here representing Delegate Lauren Aaron. That was close.
Yeah, Eric.
Right. Good evening, everyone. Like the board was saying, my name is Donald Watson. I'm a staffer for Delegate Aricon, and I'm here representing her tonight. I just want to address some ongoing updates with Annapolis. First and foremost, our legislation is in committee. First is House Bill 1258, which is the Energy Equality Act, and that prohibits local governments from restricting the sale of goods solely based on the energy source used to power the consumer good. The hearing for that is on March 1st, which you can sign up online. I'll get to that later. The next bill is House Bill 1350, which provides that a specified continuation from another state, federal military, or Native American tribal court may serve as a predicate crime for a specified penalty for certain repeat sex offenders. Mouthful of stuff. That is on March 6th. That's going to be this week. You won't be able to testify for that, but you are more than welcome to come down to Annapolis and sit in on the committee hearing. Third is House Bill 1399, which prohibits licensed health practitioners from prescribing, dispersing, or administering cross-sex hormone therapy for an individual who is a minor. And the hearing for that is on March 11th. To sign up for these hearings, you can go visit the Maryland General Assembly website, which is mgaleg.maryland.gov. And from there, you can create a MyMGA account, which you can use to track bills, sign up for witness guideline, or sign up for testimony and find witness guidelines. So what time you have to be there, what building you're going to, etc. Additionally, I wanted to talk about the Maryland Freedom Caucus. One of the biggest things that they pushed for last week and the week before that was House Bill 0380, which would have repealed the prohibition on the sale of contraceptives from vending machines in schools, nurseries, elementary schools, middle schools, high schools, etc. So if that had passed, it would have been up to the county council of all the counties to decide whether or not they would allow contraceptive vending machines to be in schools. That did not pass through the Senate Judiciary Committee, largely thanks to the wide variety of opposition from many constituents, especially from this district. Additionally, I also want to talk about the Developmental Disabilities Administration. They were able to have their funds restored from the governor's budget, thanks to, once again, a lot of opposition from this district. Additionally, if you have a student or are a student, I'm a student, you are always able to apply to our online scholarship, which you can find in our newsletters or on our social media accounts. So speaking of which, let me talk about the contact information real quick. First and foremost, our phone is 410-841-3334, and our email is lauren.aracon@house.state.md.us. You can meet with me after the meeting as well if you'd like to be added to our newsletter. With that, if there's any questions, I'm happy to take them.
Just out of curiosity, if this district is the one that opposes a lot of the things that a delegate of this district is voting for, is that delegate representing the people of this district?
So I think I may have misspoke there. I'm referring to District 7, so the individuals who are in the Joppa area.
Still represented in this meeting. So if
Right.
people in District 7 are not in favor of these things, then it, I think, begs the question why a representative of the people of this district would be looking to do those things.
It's
called majority.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Not only Joppa, half of Joppatowne.
And Baltimore County, a lot of Baltimore.
Yes,
Baltimore
yep.
County, most of it's Baltimore
Yeah,
County.
most of it is. I'm in 7.
I'm in 7.
It would be refreshing in the newsletters from all the individuals in the Freedom Caucus, and I've written back specifically to Mr. Naraki and asked him if he would once in a while talk about a Democratic bill that he supported, or a Republican bill that he opposed, and not have the same newsletter sent from 3 different people with the exact same wording and the exact same positions on every single bill. I don't feel like that's really representing your constituents properly. Somewhere there should be some deviation of thought, not just on the Democrat side, but on the Republican side as well.
Deviation of
This is the
thought.
problem we have today.
Yeah, thank you for addressing that.
Deviation of thought.
Some deviation.
He's a deviant.
So
I get all the newsletters, but I only have to read one.
Yeah,
I've
you
read all
get-
3 of them.
Yeah, you get the newsletter and it's.
No, I'm just, I'm
with you.
So as the person who is writing those newsletters, I must admit that they at times get a bit repetitive. So thank you for that comment.
You do a nice job.
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
Right. Right.
He is so sorry that he is up there.
I know, yep.
I know
Did you read the responses?
Your newsletters are good. They don't have
Oh, thank you.
typos in them like some of the other delegates.
Do you read the responses as well?
For the constituent concerns, it's split between my chief of staff and I. So
Okay.
sometimes I will, sometimes not.
I can
Depends
start
on the
sending
issue.
them to Lauren if you'd like instead of running home.
Absolutely, yep, we'll be happy to hear.
So you're down, you're in Annapolis, you're attending these meetings and they're in session right now.
Correct.
So just, I don't know how much you could say because you work for, I forgot her name.
Delegate Arcon.
But there's a $2 to $3 billion deficit right now. How are you trying to address that? Reaching into our pockets more, or?
No, so Delegate Arcon and the rest of the Freedom Caucus have adamantly said that they are against any raising of taxes whatsoever and are instead opting for more responsible spending. So that's what their interest is more of how do we cut down on spending and costs and whatnot rather than actually raising taxes. Obviously, no one wants to raise taxes.
What about all the various fees that we're paying for, like our cars and various things? I've heard talk, we're not gonna raise taxes, but we're gonna raise fees in
everything
Yep.
else.
So, which is in effect is the same thing, is
Very,
it?
very good question. So one of the very fees that you're talking about is the delivery fee for delivery goods. Based like if you're buying something from Amazon, you have to pay an additional fee to the state of Maryland for that delivery. So Delegate Arcon is very opposed to that and any fees whatsoever. She wants to ensure that you have your money in your wallet and not in the federal or in the state government.
Hang on a minute. Ms. James, go ahead.
I take it, Delegate Archon and the rest of the Freedom Caucus, to put it politely, are outmanned and outgunned.
Well said.
So, do not take me wrong. Talk is cheap. Action proves what somebody's about. How do we, as the people that she's supposed to be representing, assist her and the rest of the Freedom Caucus in getting the job done?
It's a very excellent question. Thank you very much. So first and foremost, like what I said with the bill regarding the contraceptive vending machines in schools, that was based on the fact that a bunch of constituents, they said no. This is from across other districts as well that also said no. And the power that these constituents had was able to put that bill into death in the Senate Judiciary Committee. So community outreach from us and communication from us dictates how you will respond, right? So we have, there's some websites, especially on the Freedom Caucus, where you can sign up and you can put down like, I'm opposed to this bill, it's on their website, which I don't have the link for, but I can always send it out in the newsletter as well. But I would say your best bet, go on MGA, look at the bill tracking, see what bills the delegate is part of or is sponsoring or co-sponsoring, support those bills. And then we also have bills that we are not sponsoring or are opposed to in our newsletter as well that show you how to, how do you testify for those bills in opposition to them. So the best way is just to testify and help us out.
Bill?
And the process to reverse that and oppose it is the same?
Yes, to oppose and support is the same.
All right, last question.
Which committees is she on? Like, is she on the one about the proposal for keeping the drug costs down? Because it seems like the rest of the General Assembly is missing it. They want to keep the costs down, but in the bills, they're not writing anything to cover the bait and switch. And what I mean by that is, okay, they'll say this has to be this low, and then the insurance company will take a medicine off of its formulary.
Yeah.
So is she for that bill? Is she on that committee? Which committees does she?
So Delegate Arcon is part of the House Judiciary Committee, so she oversees the legal, any bills that come through that committee. What you may want to find out is Steve Johnson. He might be able to answer that question because he's on the HGO, Health and Government Operations Committee, and that deals with prescription and drug costs.
Sometimes. We'll see if we can get a representative from his office next
Yep.
meeting. Okay.
All right.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much.
Thanks.
Deviation.
Stay tough,
Wait,
man.
he's a deviant.
Hey, there he is.
There's a visitor.
How are you? Hey, I'm.
Well, the Southern County Task Force is still working on a myriad of things for you. One of the things we're still working on is the Harford Square camera project, which they are very close to bidding that out. It should be within the month that it will go to bid. The Edgewood Park at Cunyon Field, we'll be redoing one football field there, leveling it out and resodding it. 2 pedestrian bridges at Lake Serene will be rebuilt, and maybe some additional amenities. We were talking about that today with the 755 Alliance. Harford Square improvements to the clubhouse, the tennis courts will be removed, and new pickleball courts, fencing, and other things there are going to be upgraded and done. Skate park replaced at Cedar Road at the Edgewood Elementary School. That will be with the help of 755 as well. There's ongoing discussions regarding the empty retail spaces and repurposing some of them. Cordish has been very involved in a lot of these discussions, trying to come up with something that's acceptable to them and something that works for us. As you know, the Joppatowne Marina now is under local ownership and will remain a local asset to the community. There are things in the county that we can fix, and there's things that are totally out of our control. The shoplifting issue at Edgewater Village, we tried to, at the request of Cordish, they are talking about the possibility of adding some lighting behind the shopping center and a pathway behind it. You know, I struggle with some of the remedies, I guess, that we come up with or hope we can come up with. All I see is that makes a faster path to get away. So, you know, here's the issue. Here's the issue for everybody here, and you all know it. This is the choir. A lot of the values and the morals and the things and the problems we have start at home. And if the home doesn't take care of it, the village needs to take care of it. The village is broken. We know that because you have broken homes and there's issues within the communities. It's not like it was 30, 40 years ago. You know, Nalanda, you were there when the Freedom Lunch and the gentlemen that were all up front on a panel talking about when they grew up. And when they grew up, everybody knew everybody, and the families were connected in a way that you could take care of things and assemble and try to make a better society. Unfortunately, we're not there now. Now we've got to go back and recreate that village and recreate that family unit and recreate a whole lot of things that we have lost over the last 70 years. Those are things that we at the county can't fix. We can encourage, but we can't fix it. So to that, I'll also say that with the grant funding, I think grant funding is specific. It's very specific in most cases. It has limits. It has, you've got to draw between dot this to that line, and you know, you connect these dots and make sure that it works so that when you are audited or there's a problem that comes up, you're safe on that. So, you know, the cannabis money, we have struggled with where it's being spent and how it's being spent because that criteria is tight. And so, you know, with the help of 755 Alliance, because that goes back to what I was going to say with the grants, the county, when they get a grant and we successfully get one, we can do that on county property. When it comes to HOA property, that's private property. And other issues on private property, we can't do that. Now, with the help of 755 Alliance, we can extend that over there so that they can take it over, and then they're the ones that are at the head and doing that. It's a system that works, and we are very appreciative for the help of the 755 Alliance and their commitment to the Edgewood and the Joppa communities, because without them, there's a lot of projects we couldn't do. For instance, the Harford Square clubhouse and projects there, we couldn't do it. Harford County couldn't hand that money over and say, well, let's just go ahead and do the cameras. Well, the cameras we can do because we're doing on right-of-ways. That's how we got that done. But the clubhouse renovation work and stuff like that, we couldn't do. So I guess I just wanted to make it clear that, you know, they don't hand you this pot of money and say, go spend it on something and have a good day, and, you know, next year come back and ask for more. That's not the way it works. So At this point, I'll ask if anybody, if I got a couple of minutes, I'll ask you if you have any issues here that you want me to take back other than the ones I've already heard and written down while Bob was speaking to you earlier. Are there other issues that you'd like for the county to look to address? Other than Dion?
Well, can you find out about where our dog park is over on the former Plecker property?
Yeah, I'll find out.
Can you find out where that's at?
Yeah.
It's at the
Gloria
Plecker
would be
property.
very happy.
It'll be at the Plecker property. You
Yeah,
just
it's-
want to know where it is in
In the
being,
process.
yes,
Oh.
right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
That's where the dog
What?
tracks are.
They did the Christmas trees there.
Finally, you
Right.
What Christmas tree?
The
They
recycling.
recycled them there.
Oh.
You sent that out.
You got somebody over there.
Yep.
Who does?
Melissa?
Yep.
Melissa?
I just was gonna ask, could we be added to that, bulk trash removal? I think it's at Harford Commons this time, we're in West Shore.
There
We got
is
one.
a schedule that's already been
We got one in
devised,
March.
4 or 5 of them.
In the March, you got one.
Right, just for your neighborhood. That's not.
Well, I don't know nothing about it.
Ralph, you know what?
Two quick things.
Okay.
One is,
Right.
I'll share.
You know.
could we do anything to work with Cordish to set up a lease program similar to what the playground is behind the shopping center in Edgewood, where that playground property is actually leased by the county
The
for some
basketball
smaller.
court
Yeah.
and the
like,
playground, yeah.
Could we look at applying that same thought process to the 22 acres behind Redner's for the park?
Yeah, John Peters said it was $1 a year.
Yeah, I know. And he was, in conversation, he was amenable to something like
Yeah,
that.
so-
So yes.
Could you help
Yeah.
somehow to get that moved?
Yeah,
on?
that's fine.
Let me know what's going on.
Okay.
Second is, on this, the money and grants and funding and stuff, would the county be able to get any kind of water remediation funding to put covers over all the sewer drains on county roads in the communities? So these are done in many cities around the country. It's a stainless steel plate. It gets mounted over the sewer drain. It has holes in it so water flows through, but bottles and cans and debris and all doesn't. And then when our street sweeper comes, it would clean up all that trash instead of ending up in our waterways. I'm not saying do every one at once. We could just get a couple done as a demonstration.
I'm not gonna say no, but
I don't know how we get
because
the money.
here's the deal. If you're looking for that being grant funded, as I said, grants are specific, and you can read through one and get all the way down to the end and then find a sentence that goes, oh, well, that project that I had in mind won't work.
Right.
Because they put this in there. Or, you know, I mean, because a lot of the federal transportation does a whole lot of them. And it has to relate to transportation in some form or fashion. Then you gotta be a little creative sometimes to try to figure out, can I squeak this one in there and make it look like, you know, it's
I was thinking
transportation.
Chesapeake Bay water restoration.
Yeah, I know. So maybe we can start looking there a little bit to see if they've got something available.
Okay.
We'll look at that.
All right, thanks.
Okay?
Brianna, you had a question?
Yes, the vacant, commercial properties next to Town Grill and Pub and the flea market.
Right.
Is there anyone building in there? What is going on?
That property we've been discussing with Cordish because that's who owns that whole
Yes.
complex,
Yes.
trying to figure out what they wanna do. And by now, I would have hoped that they would have had an idea what they wanted because they've talked about doing some senior housing and everything else in there.
So I believe there are some ideas, but, they haven't moved very quickly on that.
No, they have not.
Yeah.
Because we're not their primary concern.
I understand.
Okay.
I understand.
But yeah, that section right back there and is exactly where we are trying to leverage some housing for seniors or something that is a little bit different than the vacant rundown buildings that are currently there. So it's being talked with.
And so, since that's being talked about, they talking about the one down here, right down the street where Mars used to be at, because that's empty too.
Right, oh,
You
there's
know?
plenty empty in there, you know that, there's
That's
plenty
a
empty in
different-
there.
that's
But
not
you're not
Cordish,
gonna
but yeah.
get, no, that's not
Okay, that's not
Cordish.
Cordish?
No.
But you're not gonna get, the chains you had moved out. It's hard to get chains to come back in because they use their own criteria for where they're gonna go, how much money they're gonna make. You know, I mean, you had Giant, you had Mars, you had
Yeah.
several, you know, in the years past, and they're gone. So, you know, we're trying to retain what we got and we'll try to attract more.
Sir, you had a question back then.
Who fixes guardrails?
On county or state?
Well, it's right on Magnolia Road.
corner of Magnolia and
Maybe
Hanson.
state.
It's been busted for years.
That's a state.
And it's probably been hit.
Well, if it's on 152, it's state, right?
Right.
It's like going away at the light.
It's a, yeah, I know what you're talking about, Hanson and,
If it's a state if it intersects with a state road, it's
Right.
state.
It's my, yeah.
Hold on one
I'll call the
second.
state tomorrow.
Gentlemen, go ahead.
Go on ahead, I've lost my train of thought.
You have one more question, then the
Yes.
gentleman in the back of you.
Behind me?
Yeah.
Just one last request, for the, Mr. Cassilly addressed it briefly, but if I could ask any of you who love the Grizzle Mill Village to contact the, Park Gunpowder Falls State Park headquarters, Luke Terrell is the manager there, and say, listen, you know, this place, Grizzle Village, is a special place, and, you folks are active in the community, organizations and so forth, and just say, hey, we don't think that's a good idea to change the historic integrity of Grizzle Village.
Ma'am, did you want to have a follow-up?
Yes, I'm so sorry. And our stop sign at, Town Grill and Pub and Redner's, has been hit about 4 times, and it's now missing, and it's been gone for about 2 months. If we could just get, another stop sign
It's
put
been
up.
going longer than that.
Okay.
Stop
I mean,
sign's
could
missing.
could we get a stop sign back up?
Okay, see what we can do. All right? All right, thank you all.
Thank you.
Yeah, right.
Adam, do you have anything?
Yeah, I do. Alright, that's not happening. Sorry, online people. As I said at the beginning of the meeting, I'm not live streaming next month because I'm not going to be here unless things go drastically wrong in my marriage or something like that. In which case, be happy to see you. Second of all, this, so if anybody's interested in doing this, please, I'd love to talk through it with you, but if nothing else, I'm happy to give these two, I can leave a phone and a tripod if somebody wants to hit record and just make sure it's still recording through the meeting. So that's another possibility, and it would be a day or two delayed. So just a reminder that this is important. You know, we now have the county executive on video saying that the Joppatowne Community Center is coming to Foster Branch Park, and we can hold his feet to the fire. We had John Peters on camera last month talking about the things that Cordish is planning to do. Not because we want to like trick them or trap them, but because they work for us, not the other way around, and we need to hold these people accountable. That's why it's great to have this kind of thing on video. At the end of the week, Thursday, Friday, at 7 p.m. at Joppatowne High School is Six, the musical teen edition. 7 p.m. It's $12 a person for an adult, $5 for children. And then on Saturday, there's a 2 p.m. matinee, if you would like to go to that. Support the kids, always love doing that. In 2 weeks from today, at the Joppatowne Christian Church building is the Job Development and Heritage Corporation meeting. We have committees on things like parks and trails and waterways and schools and all kinds of good stuff. So if you want to be a part of that, it's kind of what the 755 Alliance does in Edgewood. If you want to be a part of that in Joppatowne, you're more than welcome to come. And Joppa, Old Joppa as well. Planning and Zoning is also another committee that we have for that. And Town Trivia is every Sunday night at 6 p.m. At Town Grill and Pub. So if you'd like to come, we'd love to see you out there.
Nobody can answer those.
Hey, we had a good night every single question last night was answered by over 50% of teams. Every single one of them. So
Put them on Facebook and I say, there's no way anybody
I know,
can
I
do that.
I'm just saying.
Blood drive.
The next blood drive will be on May 5th at Joppatowne High School. And then the one after that is in July or August at Joppatowne Christian Church. I have dates for those. I will, if anybody's interested, email me and I'll get them to you.
Adam, you got any of them coming up on a Saturday?
You want a blood drive on a Saturday?
That way I don't have to take off of work.
I'll have to talk to the Red Cross about it, but I'm happy to do it if we want to try. So, it's up to the Red Cross. They schedule us, not the other way around.
Time change, daylight savings, check your smoke detectors, the ones that still have batteries every year, and put new batteries in. If you've got the new 10-year smoke detector, then leave it alone if it's working fine. And you can call Ron, and if you're looking for a 10-year smoke detector,
we'll wind up getting it installed for you for free. The other thing that I remind everybody about is the electric batteries, bikes, skids, whatever. Unplug them at night. We're not having a real problem down here about it, but in Philadelphia and New York, and apartments up 10, 12 stories and higher are having a real problem with almost a fire a day in those areas. Other thing, just to give you an idea, our rescue engine, we've got rigged up with the tools and all, in the last 90 days has run 85 calls. That means automobile accidents and related, just to give you an idea of the number of calls that are running. And you've heard me talk about the hospitals. Mr. Cassilly talked about it. We have no control over it, but I'll tell you, unless you're dying or really sick, don't call an ambulance if you think you're gonna get moved ahead of everybody, because they're gonna triage you first. And as you've heard, they might be 10 hours waiting at the hospital to get service. You're better off going to a doc in a box and get somebody to look at you quickly. The other problem with that is, you've heard me say it before, the Hospital Cost Review Commission is looking at the empty hospitals in Baltimore City and saying, take them down there. But NIMS, with our rules, allow us to go to the next closest hospital. In our case, Franklin Square. Otherwise, you take it to the closest hospital and you wait. That's the way it is. All right, thank you. Oh, don't forget, every Wednesday night is bingo at Joppa Magnolia, 6:30.
Gloria?
I just want some Girl Scout cookies.
All righty then,
that was it.
Paul.
Hang on one
I
second.
brought some money.
All right, go ahead.
All right, so coming up, the Joppatowne Rec Council, we are purchasing a big movie screen, and we are going to have movies in the park a couple of times this summer. As of right now, the first one's going to be up in Copenhagen. We have not set a date for that yet, but we're going to have movies in the park. And over the winter time, we had the Christmas in the park. It was fantastic. Thanks everybody who came out for that. We are definitely doing that again. Football, cheerleading registration is open. There's one more week left for baseball, softball, and spring soccer. But keep your eyes out. We are going to be doing movies in the park at Copenhagen.
When we do those, that and the Christmas in the park, can we work with the county to get a dumpster for trash? Because the cans in the park can't handle the amount. It's just the volume. You just have a lot of people coming, which is great, right? So, I mean, if we get additional, that dumpster doesn't get full. In the winter, people were saying that with the park Christmas thing, that some stuff.
Yeah, we did not have enough trash cans there, but at Copenhagen, I've got 12 55-gallon drums along with a ton of bags.
Excellent, thank you.
Yep.
Hang on, let's just finish up here real quick, and then I will get out to the community.
To the masses.
Exactly. I was trying real hard to end by 8:30, but I got close. So for next month, if everybody would like, I'm gonna try to get Allison Healy, she's our state's attorney. She is really doing a fantastic job, so if you'd like that, I'm gonna contact her and see if she will speak at next month's meeting.
I apologize for not having Girl Scouts. They are having a meeting as we're having a meeting. I will come to your house. So we'll figure it all out. Thank you.
Robert?
I don't have anything.
Okay, Dan, hang on a second. You sir, did you have something?
Yeah, just two quick things if I could.
Absolutely.
If anybody wants to donate blood before JCC has their next one, my regular full-time employer, Anderson of Abingdon, formerly Below Buick, is hosting one all day Thursday from 11 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Walk-ins welcome, appointments available. I'll share a flyer if you guys want it. It's on my Facebook page. Second thing, and last thing I got, you may have seen my signs. They're Joppa Farm Road by Philadelphia, Joppa Farm Road by Kearney. I adopted that road. I bit off a whole lot Not more than I can chew, but it's a lot to chew. If anybody wants a bag to spend an hour picking up when you want to, I've got plenty of bags that the county gave me. More than happy to share. If you can tell your friends, neighbors, visitors, relatives, everybody coming to see you in Joppatowne to keep their trash in their cars, please, especially as I drive under the train bridge, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you.
Hi, yes, so I have a couple of the events, and I'm gonna send the flyer to, the CAB newsletter. So our farmer's market at the American Legion in Edgewood is gonna start April the 6th. It's gonna be the first Sunday of every month from April through November of 2025, with the exception of June. It's June 8th because it bumps up against something else. So I'll have those dates out for you. And if you're asking why Sunday, which I've had several people ask, the vendors that participate at farmers market are tied up on Saturdays and other ones. So if we want to have one, we have to go with Sunday, and that's what they proposed, that they would be available to commit. So that's going to be exciting, 8:30 to noon. The other thing was we do have quarterly community cleanup and bulk trash days already scheduled with Harford County DPW. So those dumpsters are unlimited for residential disposal of trash, bulk trash and stuff. So we're coordinating volunteers to, communities can clean up and then bring it to the location. It's open to the public, so you don't have to live in one area. But the dumpsters are being moved around to give access. Now, there was a question from Melissa up here about the West Shore Oak Landing. Yours is gonna be on Sam Pebble Drive. That was not hosted by us, but it's gonna be on March 29th, because they had asked us about it. So you'll be able to do that. I don't know if it's just closed to the community, but for us, with our volunteers, April the 12th, we're gonna be at the Harford Square Community Center from 8:30 to noon for that. And then on June 14th, we will be at Riverside Elementary in Joppatowne. It's gonna be somewhere on the school lot. They're looking at the location. August the 9th, we'll be at Brookside Drive Recreation Center. So our team will be there. And then October the 11th, we will be at the Deerfield Elementary for the Willoughby Beach. But you can go to any of those events with your stuff. It's closed to just residences. So we'll be there to track data and also to make sure that hazardous stuff, tires and stuff is not being thrown into dumpsters. So it'll be free of charge. So it's a great way to get maybe some citizens to grab that sofa that's been in that pool and bring it to Riverside Elementary and dump it. I know we've done many of those where we're dragging big things to get rid of. So, and then the last thing, I know that Mr. Wagner talked about the skate park. We're hoping to get the bid awarded very soon. We have a design for that, and working with the Edgewood group, the park should be completed by July so that the skateboarders can use that, and it's gonna.
And where's that at?
It's at Cedar Drive where that new sports complex is.
Mhm.
The other, adjacent to the Boys and Girls Club, but it's just not for skating. In between, we're gonna have some fitness equipment there so that it's low impact equipment. So it's been a vision of ours for 2 years, and so it's gonna happen thanks to the grant from the state of Maryland. The other thing that's gonna happen is mid-March, we're gonna start our urban tree planting. So we have 5 locations that we're bringing some trees so that it improves air quality and stuff. So you'll probably see us busy around there with a company that we've hired, and they will maintain the new seedlings. When I say new seedlings, they're like 5 to 6 foot trees that was our minimum. And they're gonna be taking care of those for 2.5 years. And then the last thing is our community gardens. We're gonna be building our second location at Presbyterian United Methodist Church. And so our goal is we're working on mapping out the companion plants so that the gardens will thrive, but we're gonna have our planting at the end of April into May. We have a group working on that, and then both are open to the public. And so all we ask is, as you help harvest, that you will make a donation to either site, because it's not for us, we're just building the spaces. And so we'll have some unveiling at that time. So I think that's all we have. Oh, I forgot, May 17th is a Saturday. we've put in a permit, we're requesting a permit to have the music at the point at Mariner Point Park. So the, maps and things are going in there, and, there'll be, casual bench, lawn seating, and we'll have food trucks and then local bands. So, it's free to the public,
Okay.
so we're not all about just cleaning up and doing work.
Can I ask you a question though?
Yes.
How do you apply for that money from, 755? How do you apply for it to come to your community?
Okay, so for your community, one of the things that we have to have is an MOU, it's a memorandum of understanding that all we're doing is we're gonna source the money, the project, and we're not responsible for maintenance and stuff like that. It's like a
Right.
present, right? So, down the road, I think we talked about having other community HOAs come together and make their pitch of the project that they want, and then we will, source that, you know, and select another community to do the project.
Okay.
Yeah, so, everything that you hear us talk about, they're all grants. So they just don't hand you the money. So we're, I'm the lead grant writer, we're writing, there's quarterly reports, there's tracking of everything. It's a lot of work, but you know what? We don't have a municipality, so somebody's gotta do the work. And we don't take a dime for it, it's all volunteer, in-kind time and talent that we donate to get things done down here. And, together, we're just trying to make a better community for everybody.
And thank you, cause you do a fabulous job.
Yes.
It's really fun.
And more later, we're gonna get our projects done, so we hope to wrap things up this year.
Can you tell us,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
can you tell us where we can look online? I mean, you gave us all these dates and all these things. Where do we go to
So,
read them?
when I talked about us being volunteers, the money that we raise going to the project, so we do have a website. And I'm working with the, youngster to update some of that information, but our Facebook page is where we post all of the events and things like that. But like I said, I'll be sending it to Paula to share with this newsletter, and I think
Yeah,
Debbie,
sure.
through Yolanda's office, they graciously add all of our events, and then we send it to the Southern County Task Force, so there's multiple places that we can do that for free. Because, aside from these grants that we have to build things, we also raise money through our private donors for our emergency fund. So you've seen us talk about some of the things that we've done there, so that's, you know, encompasses all the work that we do.
Okay. Benta, I was just gonna say, is there any update on the shared tables since they're moving?
So I can only say that the American Legion, the Sharon Table, it's like a food pantry. They distribute food every Saturday to almost 300 families, because sometimes we help fill the bags, you know, package the food. So because the Archdiocese closed Prince of Peace for their work starting the end of June, they had to look for a new home. So the American Legion, which is the hub where we're doing a lot of these community events, they've voted to allow to have the sharing table come there, and I believe the sharing table voted to accept that offer. So there's a lot of planning stuff that has to happen. I'm only hearing from hearsay, meaning my husband is the vice commander, and he said really it's in their court what they want to do with the sharing table. But the challenge will be, how do we set up the American Legion to house some of their the food storage shed that has to be climate controlled, right? So the Legion itself is struggling to stay afloat, which is why we're doing these different events to help them. So there has to be some infrastructure and then the platform or the concrete. So we're trying to leverage some of our contacts to do that, as well as apply for that CRRF cannabis fund. And it has to go to recreation or some kind, you know, so there's allowable uses. So I'm gonna look at that, and if so, we will apply for that to help that particular group. So.
Tam, did you say you mentioned something about Prince of Peace?
Yep, that's the current site of Sharing Table.
Or
and
did
it's
it
gonna
close in
close.
that part?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
It's
but the
gonna
church
close
is
the
going.
church, right. I
They're
think
closing the church?
they're closing the church
They're closing the church.
completely.
They
Yeah.
want them to go to St. Francis Navigate.
Right.
Yeah.
So their challenge is the new location has to have a commercial kitchen to prepare the hot meal along with the packaged goods. So the Legion has the, traffic flow in the parking lot for that, with ingress, egress, has the extra space.
One of the priests is being
commercial
sued for
kitchen, so
something
it's
so New York
ideal.
State.
It's
Yeah,
just they
keep-
didn't have the,
So they have a suit or
area
whatever.
set up for their big storage thing, so we're trying to work through that as a freeway, MOU. That's it.
Eventually.
So, is there anything else, Ralph?
Yeah, I just want to make people aware, because I missed this last year, but I was not gonna miss it this year. Rain barrels and composting bins, if you're interested in those, they are for sale right now. By Harford Town, it's only like $45 for a 55-gallon rain barrel, and then I think it's $35 for a composting bin. And so you have to go to some special website, but if you go to the Harford County website for recycling, they have the place and the flyer that you can go. For some reason, they keep it real quiet, so I ordered mine today. You can order all the way through March 30th, I think, and then the delivery is April 12th, but you have to go to Scarborough to pick them up. If you want to help improve the water quality in this neighborhood, get rain barrels, take the water off your roof. When you do nothing else, let it settle in the rain barrel before it goes back into the soil, so you don't get all that runoff and muck and mud, and you also don't get all the debris and all the bird stuff and things like that going directly into the waterway. And then talking about community gardens, part of what the Joppatowne Development and Heritage Corporation has on Adams property, his church has so gracefully allowed a large plot of land where you have community gardens, where you can garden a piece yourself if you go and volunteer, plant your own things, so you can harvest your own crops. So when people talk about the grocery bill, I laugh sometimes because I mostly eat out of my garden for the whole summer, and my grocery bill is very, very inexpensive. Plus, I kill the geese and the chickens. But anyway,
You gotta be careful with that right now, that bird.
you can grow a lot of your own vegetables and things like that in town as well. So,
All right,
okay?
you know, this, when I leave here at night, after the meetings, I usually end up having to take all of these flyers home, so please come and pick up some of these flyers, because otherwise, I have to.
Yeah, you done?
Yes, we're done.
Before you leave.
Come on,